and welcome to Fast Break. We are in the brand new studio here. Ray Halbrook here, Scott Lotta here, and Scotty, it's been a long time coming, but man, hey, we're moving on up to the east side now.
We made it to the big time, the deluxe studio,
the deluxe studio
in the
I
Jeffco.
love it. I love it. I love it here. Welcome to Fast Break, and lots of fun going on. Basketball is buzzing last couple weeks here, and we're having a lot of fun just trying to get ourselves caught back up here this week. And we're going to talk a little bit about some Jeffco basketball, men's and women's. And what do you want to talk about here first, Scotty?
Well, first of all, we kind of upshifted from the football playoffs, and now we're start of the basketball season. We got high school, we've got college, and down the road we've got semi-pro. So it's like we got it all.
We got
one-stop shop.
Just like Lonnie and McCall. We've got about.
Is that a WKRP in Cincinnati
No,
reference?
it is not.
Okay,
It is
okay.
not. It is not.
I was thinking Lonnie Anderson.
It's an old song.
Okay, so you went old and I went old as well.
Well,
Okay.
See, I got to keep up with the '90s references and '80s references here from Scotty, just because
Do my best.
you're always going to get at least one per game.
I'll do my best, Les Nessman, for you.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Men, 5-7.
Jeffco men.
Jeffco men, 5-7 on the season here under Coach CB Walker.
So obviously last year the re-inaugural season for the Jeffco Vikings.
Mhm.
CB Walker did double duty, and once again this year he's wearing a lot of hats. And program last year had some victories, obviously. First year franchise, I believe they got double digits.
They did. Yep.
And I mean, obviously there was some momentum. Obviously that helps in the recruiting, which we'll talk to Jakayla a little bit later on, and I believe recruiting comes up. But it's good to get excited about it. I mean, they're in our community, second year. Obviously, you want to build. What do you think the ceiling is for these guys?
Well, I mean, you take a look at, I felt like the first season here, very successful season for the men, especially. And, ladies, we'll talk about here in just a second. But I mean, you've got to, it takes a couple years here to, get some of those building blocks put in place. But, I felt like CB, his selection I thought was really interesting last season for the amount of local talent, especially good mixture of local talent, and even brought some locals that were. I was just really surprised in a guy like Cole Rickerman coming back and being a part of the team, and I'm sure that was something that absolutely got CB excited. But then adding, other locals around the area, not just Jefferson County, but St. Louis County, and then, mixing a few in here and there from outside the area as well.
Yeah, and I think it helps him to be able to recruit when you can start, throwing that net a little bit wider, when you can offer, hey, I've got, for your talent, I have this vision for you, and you can pretty much step in and you can kind of carve out a role, as this is kind of a fledgling program a little bit. I mean, obviously there's going to be some growing pains, but CB is very relatable. He's able to, for lack of a better word, he's able to cut through all the red tape and get your, right to what you need
Right.
to listen to and what you need to hear.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing you've got going on this year, you've got a year under your belt now.
Mhm.
And it's a deal now where we're taking a look at, things that you can build upon. You're able to take a look at the guys that were freshmen this year and, last year, I should say, and put them in a position to succeed. So I think really that's the thing that I'm seeing out of CB this year. Even though they're 5-7, it is early in the year and
But
early
you're
in the
5-7, you're one victory away from being 500 right there.
Yeah.
Or you're maybe a couple of, cleaned up possessions in a couple of those games from maybe flipping that to 7-5.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've seen a handful of games already this season, but a lot of times those games are so close, and we saw 5 over the weekend. One went to double overtime.
Boom, 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 boom.
And it was just kind of like, oh, wow, So, the amount of games. There's a ton of games ahead of them, and they've got a great opportunity to do some damage this season.
Yeah, and for the, returning talent that he has from last year, it's another year in the program. It's another year understanding the mentality, and then they will ramp up, and then they will be able to, bring the other guys into the fold and up to speed. And who knows what the results could be? I mean, you could be looking at, maybe, 5 to 7 wins improvement over last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look at the girls here. New assistant coach Jakayla Kirk. We'll have her on here in a little bit, but they are already a ranked team right now. What's their record right now?
8-2,
8-2. Looking
according to the
good.
interwebs.
Looking good.
Mhm.
Lots of girls that can shoot the ball. That's all I can say is there's a ton of shooters on that team.
Well, and also if you want to kind of take a step back and look at the big picture, look how competitive the women's side was last year. And this year, out of the blocks, I mean, you can't sleep on anybody. I mean, there is so much competition. Obviously, with Jakayla stepping off the court, you've got to replace all of the contribution she had. And it looks like they're doing an excellent job starting out 8-2.
And we take a look at even our local here, Josie Allen. We talk about her a lot.
Mhm.
She's really having a breakout season this season.
Well, we saw her last year a little bit, kind of get her feet wet. But, like I said, as you kind of move another year into the program, understand what your role is. And then also you kind of say like, hey, I feel like, I could take the next step. I could take this to the next level, and maybe she unlocks something.
What do you think right now? Obviously we take a look at them. They're 8-2. What do you think right now would be their focus? Obviously, hey, we're ranked. You got to be proud about that. But, the biggest thing to me is to make sure that you don't just keep that ranking. Oh, well, it's important to us to be ranked, but that can't be the carrot that dangles you throughout the regular season here. And, I think the important thing right now is to have these ladies just continue to work hard, continue to do the same things, keep the main thing, and be able to build upon that and do it naturally, do it well.
Mhm.
Just work hard and be happy about yourself at the end of the season.
Yeah, one of my favorite baseball players of all time is Jim Tomei. He had personalized plates on his Hummer that said 25 DBH. 25, don't believe the hype, which was basically telling himself to stay grounded, stay focused, do the work, don't worry about what anybody says. Yes, you're going to have success, but you're also going to have trials and tribulations. So no matter what they're saying, you're ranked, that's nice. But as we saw with Kansas and Missouri over the weekend,
Yeah,
rankings can go,
yeah,
they can leave quickly. So as long as you do the work,
right.
you just focus on your path ahead, you'll take care of business.
This is for Coach Woody, MIZ. That's all I got to say. There you go.
And for my people at work, ZOO.
Well, that's going to wrap this up. We're going to take a break here. We'll be right back with Fast Break.
Hi, this is Bill Rubel with APB Storage. APB Storage is a locally owned and operated family business that offers the best storage solutions in the Jefferson County area. Our electronic gate gives you 24-hour access to your storage unit, and our state-of-the-art security system provides peace of mind and security. All of the units provide an easy access drive-up doors to allow a stress-free way to your unit. Come see why people prefer the APB storage experience. Give us a call at 636-464-5629 or visit us online at apbstorage.com.
Church is more than just an hour in a pew every Sunday. It's a community. It's where you can come as you are. It's a place where you can connect with God, learn from Scripture, and grow as you build relationships. It's a place where it's okay to be a work in progress. At Faith Community, you'll find an authentic group of people who are pursuing God and supporting one another along the way as we move from where we are to where God wants us to be. Wherever you're at on your journey, you are welcome here.
It's time for our Coach's Corner, and we have today with us a brand new coach, Jakayla Kirk from the Jefferson Vikings. And Jakayla, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. Lots of fun going on here at the Jefferson College, lots of new faces and things like that. And tell us a little bit about how things are going over at Jeffco.
Well, they going pretty good, pretty smooth, better than I expected as my first year coaching.
Nice. Very, very cool. So my question to you is, now as you transition from as an athlete into on the court to coaching perspective now, what are some of the things that stand out to you that maybe you didn't see as important as a player, but are very important in coaching?
Well, as a player, I feel like you never see much of the behind the scenes that coaches do as far as figuring out what to run, defense, recruiting, having to get everything together for his practices and games. Like you never really see that behind the scenes as a player. And now that I'm on the other side, like I see it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jakayla, thank you for taking some time with us today and joining the show. How is the practice experience as a coach now, as opposed to like when you were a player? What are the big contrasts for you? Obviously, one is a lot more physically demanding, as you're in the player, you're out there running all the drills, back and forth, hey, run that play again, run this. As a coach, how does that differ for you?
Well, it differs for me because it's not as physical demanding as far as a coach, but it's still hands on as I still participate in some drills against them and
Oh,
still at practice. I do.
Oh, nice. You show them, okay, this is the position you should have. And if you see
Yeah.
them doing this, you're kind of like, okay, break it down step by step how this should go.
Yeah.
That's
We
very cool.
participate in practice and just having the intensity at practice too. So making sure everybody's there.
You put on that game face?
I don't.
Oh, you don't?
At what point did the coaching discussion come up? Number one, like how long ago, and were there any reservations about stepping away from playing?
So coaching came up to me, I say about halfway through my sophomore year, as I kept facing injuries
Mhm.
and knowing I didn't want to continue to play basketball and keep re-injuring my body, but I still wanted to stay around basketball, and I felt as if coaching was the best fit for me.
Okay, awesome.
Injuries. Was it like knee, shoulder?
Knee, foot, fingers,
Is that just
body,
being in the trenches?
being everywhere.
Okay, all right. All right. So it was apparent from watching you play that your teammates really looked to you as a leader on the floor. So did that kind of give you a little extra boost of confidence to make this leap into being a coach?
It really did a little bit because a lot of them still look at me as their leader, still come to me as the go-to when they don't know what's wrong, and when coach get on them, they don't know what happened. They come to me and look at me as that extra boost.
Okay. And also since you kind of have that, resume from the things you were able to accomplish, I guess it gives you a little bit more credence because you're like, she's done this. She knows what she's talking about.
Yeah.
I'm coming up and, maybe I'm struggling with this and you can kind of help direct.
Yeah, especially since it's recent. When I just played last year, doing what I did, it's kind of easy for me to tell them, like, you could do this, this, and this, and it'll work.
And it's
I
still
did.
fresh in your mind.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Obviously, being a player is more physically demanding, but coaches are very active at practices and at games also coming up and coming off of playing and moving into coaching. Is the itch to compete and still be out there playing really strong, or just more of a passing feeling now?
Absolutely not strong at all. Way past basketball. Like I'll participate in some drills with the girls, and I just be like, I know why I stopped playing basketball.
All right, all right.
That's a
Thank you
great-
for your brutal honesty.
That was a great answer.
Sorry, but no.
All right. So, we've kind of covered a little bit of all the bases. Obviously, you're kind of ramping up at the beginning of your career here. So, from a preparation standpoint for practices, workouts, games, is it really kind of blowing your mind a little bit how much time goes into this as opposed to like when you were a player? Because, you would have to, practices, you'd have to kind of go over the game plan, the different plays, maybe strategy. But, now that you got the coaching hat on, is it a lot more than you thought?
It is actually way more than I thought because as a player, I just thought the coaches just showed up and
It was magic.
yeah. But now that I'm a coach, like it takes a lot of time because you have to sit there, you have to watch the other team, you have to know what's going to work for your team to be able to go out there and compete against another team.
So the homework never ends.
Never. Even as a coach, it just became more. So, but it's good.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate the time coming in and being with us, and good luck to you the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Jakayla Kirk from the Jefferson Vikings. We're back. I love that. That was awesome there. Let's get a little bit into the season here, and before we get into this season, let's talk about last season a little bit with the 2023-24 season.
Was that John Kennedy? You can't know where you're going until you know where
you've been. That's exactly right. I like it. That's a good idea. We'll talk about last year's records and a ton of new coaches. So a lot's going on here, especially.
I'm hearing an upheaval of the status quo.
Yes, especially in the small schools. As far as coaching, the coaching carousel continues.
All right.
Let's start with the girls. We're in no particular order here. We have Herculaneum at 7-19. We have Jefferson at 8-18. We have Crystal City 2-22. Grandview 12-14. And then this year we have two brand new coaches there, two ladies coming in here. Crystal City's picking up Dana Hearn, and Grandview with Christy Smith. So some new blood coming in to both of the smaller schools here. But last season, I saw a great, I believe it was the best, record from Jefferson with, Stephen Holyhausen coming in. That was her first season being the coach too. So 8-18, not too shabby. Decent run in the playoffs too. So,
there was a
going on.
lot of talent there that was, dynamic, and they worked well as a unit. Definitely got, I think, the most out of that talent pool.
Yeah, I agree. Completely agree on that. And then, Grandview, 12-14, still, toting that 500 line. But, when you've got a Wakeland, running the show there, that's always helpful.
Yeah. The only thing is with obviously a Grandview, they have to maximize their talent, and, they generally have a very thin roster from year to year, so injuries really are something that they need to stay away from.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, be interesting to see what we're going to have this season. Still a really good turnout right now on Jefferson's side. I've seen a couple of the games out there on X, on the X. Now they're calling it the X, not the Twitter. So on X, Jefferson, holding some pretty good turnouts there from some of their games. Crystal, I haven't seen much on Crystal, not much on Grandview. Herky, we've talked a little bit with Doc Carranza on the rebuild or the building up of the Herculaneum Black Cats too. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this season.
Yeah, and obviously we're in the infancy of this season, so this is episode 1. So by the time we get to 3, 4, 5 episodes in,
we'll be able to see.
Yeah,
what's
we'll be
going
able
on.
to compare and contrast. Be like, okay, this is kind of what we thought, and sometimes we're wrong.
They were who we thought they were. That's
And
it.
sometimes they're
I
not.
like it. There you go. On the boys' side, the Herculaneum Black Cats 10-16, Jefferson 22-6, not too shabby. Crystal City 10-17, Grandview 8-19. Two new coaches jumping in there also as well. Jefferson picking up Tyler Bellmeyer, and Crystal City Steven Eisenbeis taking over for the long veteran of Ken Jones. So Ken Jones is has he's flown south. Let's just say that. He's down at St. Genevieve.
Are you saying Jason Jarvis isn't a newbie?
Jason Jarvis is not a newbie.
Love Coach Jarvis.
Herky had some great games. They had some tough games. Probably going to be the same thing this season as well.
Last season
we also got Tanner Duncan though.
Well, last season was the first one post Gabe.
Post Gabe, yep, that's right.
The stash.
The stash.
They still have Tanner Duncan, which there's a lot of upside there, but they need to find a couple of supporting shells, take some of the weight off his shoulders.
Right, absolutely. Jefferson looking great. We saw them in the Bruce Thomas tournament this past week and won the tournament for the first time ever. So congratulations to the Jefferson Blue Jays there. Tyler Bellmeyer got them going.
Yeah, and there was that quarterback for the Blue Jays who did pretty well on the hardwood too.
Yeah, hit a few threes, not afraid of anything.
And out there with his energy, instigating.
Cooper Frisk, we love that. Crystal City and Grandview didn't get a chance to see them. I know they played earlier in the tournament. I did get a chance to talk to Jeremy Moss, and I don't want to give away the interview too much, but had a real good showing against Jefferson. Brought that within 4 late, and felt kind of.
So it was like a 10-6 game.
It wasn't a 10-6 game, no. Jeremy
His
Moss.
forever legacy is
Yeah.
the stall ball
Yeah,
game.
yeah. Jeremy Moss, we appreciate what was that? 2-1 at halftime.
Oh, no, it
Or
was
4-2. That's what it was.
It was something just
Something like that.
insanely.
I remember that game. My
humorous.
goodness, the stall ball game. We will never live that down. So there you go, Jeremy Moss. We appreciate that. Predictions. Let's talk about predictions.
No. It's way too early to come up with any legitimate predictions in the first week of December. I mean, technically, we've bled over into the second week of December, but, I mean, come on. I mean, most of these teams really haven't even developed their full identity yet.
Well, and you also have to put into consideration the teams that are not in the Jefferson County area, like St. Vincent, like Perryville. We'll talk about the large schools
Would that count like
next
St.
week.
Jen and those as well?
Well, we're taking a look at St. Vincent. They're in the conference there for the small schools. Perryville for I believe they're back up to large schools, yes. And so, you're taking a look at those X factors kind of outside of the area, but they are still part of the conferences as well. So, Jefferson, I think, going to have could have a potential great season again. I mean, last year 22-6, but they could very easily match that, maybe even exceed it.
Well, last year, I think a big strength for the Blue Jays was their bench. And from what we got to see, early on in, the one game that we got to see for that tournament, they were rolling out, 6, 7, 8 deep, and getting contributions. Anytime you get that, I mean, if you can even extend it farther than that, which we didn't even see them tap the whole bench. So it's like, who knows what they've got.
Right. I get it. On the ladies' side here, go back to the ladies here. Jefferson Lady Jays could very easily do that as well. I really kind of think Herky's going to do a little bit better this year under Doc Carranza, second season here. I mean, 7-19, yeah, I mean, but he came in so late in the season, and it was just one of those things where, you were already behind the 8 ball. It took probably weeks to just gel. And then all of a sudden, okay, now we're going to start putting plays together, and now we're going to start doing some things.
Yeah, and then also you're really trying to discover, what talents you have and, what kind of chemistry before you go in and start tearing things apart or trying to rebuild, figure out what you do have.
Absolutely. And that is our recap here and our preview. We are going to have some more previews here in a little bit, so stay tuned here on Fast Break. It is time to take a look into some of our small school teams this season here, and for Fast Break. And our first team here is the Grandview Eagles. We have Christy Smith with us today. Christy, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Awesome. We'll talk a little bit about your season last year, the first year as a coach, and
Okay.
12-14 on the season. I'm sure there may be some games here and there you might have been able to put over the top, but tell us just a little bit about the 12-14 season.
Well, we ended on a strong note. I feel like last year, it took us a little while, the beginning of the season, to really find our identity. So I feel like we dropped some games early on that we really could have picked up. We really had a nice push there at the end, trying to get to at least a 500 record, and we got pretty close. We got a district win, was really exciting for the girls. And but like I said, it took us a little while to find our identity. We had a solid starting core last year, but it took them a while to figure out who they were together and to not foul out so much at the beginning of the season. That was a struggle for us. Ooh, it's hard to say. I love the defense, and I feel like last year we struggled to find out how we wanted to play defense, and I was new, so that was part of it. But once we really found our groove on defense, that really had an impact on our offense, of course, which it always does. But so I am excited about how much we've grown defensively. Well, I already feel pretty good about our endurance in the game. We've got a solid starting core of 5 girls, not a real deep bench because our bench is very young. We have 5 new freshmen who are getting some good experience on JV, but they're not quite ready for a lot of time in the varsity game yet. So those girls are having to learn to play smart, play hard, and I mean, I played 6 last night in our game in our win, so they're getting their endurance in real early here. Well, right now our reserves are young. We have, like I said, we have 5 new freshmen that I'm really excited about. They're all solid players, and then we got a couple other sophomores and juniors on our bench, and so we're slowly working them into the lineup and getting them ready for games. And honestly, just even from our win last night, it was nice to see just those young kids cheering their seniors on and learning from them and watching them. And they learn a lot from them in practice and at games. So, and I'm hoping in the next couple weeks that we can really start incorporating them in the varsity game where they feel comfortable. Right now, they're a little nervous, but they have the luxury, I think, of we've got 4 seniors that have all played together for a while now.
It's time to take a look at the Crystal City Lady Hornets, and on the line here we have Dana Hearn from the Crystal City Hornets. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Awesome. 2-22 last season, but that was under a different coach. You were the 8th grade coach back then. Tell us a little bit what you know about last season.
Last season, I know they were a very young squad. They had just graduated a good amount of their seniors. And so most of these girls were either coming off of the bench or had just moved up from the 8th grade. So they weren't expecting the fast-paced high school environment that they were about to be thrown into. So it was we called it a learning year, and hoped that we could build off of it. Honestly, I am most excited about the defensive side of the ball. I've got plenty of girls that can make offensive plays, but these girls are so fast and they are constantly in your face and going after the ball that it's so much fun watching them play defense. I think right off the bat, these girls have such good outlooks on how this season is going to be. They're excited. And every game, it seems like we're getting a little bit faster. So I would think by about game 5, game 6, which will be next week, we're going to be at that level. I'm pretty lucky this year. I had so many of the girls from last year come back even after having that 2-22 record that I have a pretty good depth on the bench. And my girls that come off the bench, I don't even have to tell them who they're going in for, what position they're playing. They automatically know coming off the bench where they're going and what their job is. And so it's great to be able to have that when you're focusing on trying to set up the press and not let the other team score.
It's time to take a look at the Jefferson Lady Jays here, and we have on the line here Stevie Holdinghausen, coach of the Lady Jays here. Stevie, how you doing?
I'm good.
Awesome. Talk about your 18-8 season last season. Pretty successful, and I'm sure you've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, last season was the best season I think that the girls basketball program has had. We didn't accomplish everything that we wanted to accomplish. Of course, we were really trying to get conference championship, district championship. We faced Pius in both of those championship games and we fell short to that, but it's something that drives us now for this season. I'm always big on defense. I love defense when I played. I think it's the most exciting part of the game. So I always want to focus our defense on being aggressive. And sometimes we're a little too aggressive, but just being aggressive and speeding every team up, getting them outside their comfort zone. I don't think it's going to take very long. We have a pretty loaded schedule at the beginning. We've picked up some teams that we never played before, one including being a Class 6 team. So I think, before Christmas break, we will finally have our feet underneath us and we'll be ready for that second half of the season. I'd say right now it's it's kind of getting them in their comfort zone and getting them to realize their role. Sometimes it's not easy coming off the bench, and I know that. But they just, it's building that confidence with the starters. It's building that confidence within themselves. And once we can really get that going, it'll be great to pull the starters, let them have a break, and have that second group come in and just keep up with everything that we're doing.
It is time to take a look at the Herculaneum Black Cats ladies team here, and we have Doc Carranza, coach of the Herculaneum Black Cats, on the line here. Doc, how you doing, Coach?
Oh, pretty good. Good.
Let's talk a little bit about the 9-17 team from last season. Give us maybe your overview of the last season.
Okay. Well, last season was tough on probably both all the coaches and the players. When I got the job, I had about 4 weeks to get everything ready. After, the interviews and all that. And because I coach at Windsor still, I still do tennis. So I was finishing up my girls season, and I think there was like a 3-week break in between and trying to get everything all set. And knowing the kids or just knowing, introducing myself pretty much. And then trying to put in stuff that I think that would work for them and make it simple, because I didn't want to hit them, with everything. And, that I think they were overwhelmed. I think they were overwhelmed. I think we were overwhelmed. But they came through it. We did a lot of work last year and kind of during the summer of trying to get them to run, not so much run a set plays and stuff, be robotic, but mostly to run things, a motion offense, to be able to play basketball. And that was my big thing last year was, we just want to play basketball, learn how to play basketball. Then from that point, you can go anywhere, you can do anything. And so seeing them this year do that, of playing better, of playing ball, that's the exciting part right now. To me, it almost takes the whole year to do that almost sometimes. But I think probably after the new year, I think we'll have pretty much everything in, and I think they'll be able to be in that playing mode. I think some of them are. We got a lot of kids from, if you're talking physically, we got kids who have run cross country. We've got some that have, played volleyball. So they've all played something. So they're fit. It's getting them into the basketball shape and the basketball frame of mind is the hardest part. Well, with us, we have a very short bench. We've got 8 kids this year, and I am going with all upperclassmen. Everybody who is playing this year played at least varsity last year a little bit somewhere. So I'm going with all them. I want the experience. I want to keep the freshmen down. People bring kids up all the time. I've done that before, and I think in this case, with this building, I think we're trying to, we're going to try to keep them down. So, what we try to do is, I rotate them. I try to get the post in there, and I'm flexible enough with these kids that they can play multiple positions. I've got my 4 and 5. I could easily bring out to be a 3. I can bring in a couple kids off the bench who can play post and also be guards. So, I watch how they're doing. You get into the flow of the game, and sometimes you think, well, how am I gonna sub? How am I gonna do this? I kind of let the flow go, and see how they're playing. If they're working together good, fine. If they look like they're getting tired or something else is going on or they're not clicking, then I'll make the changes. But people always ask that, how come you don't sub? How come you do this? And a lot of it is because I'm just going with the game. You just got to go with how the game's going.
Continuing with our small school previews here, we have the Crystal City Hornets, and we have Coach Steve Eisenbeis with us. Coach, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. 10-17 on the season. You were the assistant coach last year, and you have quite a bit of, I'm sure, recollection of kind of the season. Give us a little bit of a synopsis of the season last season.
Yeah, last season was a bit of runs. We went through a lot of those losses came in the middle of the season when one of our main guys, Cam Mays, who graduated, went down with an injury. And then after he came back and we were full strength again, we were able to do what we wanted to do and actually went on a little bit of a run before districts. And then we won our first game in districts and then bowed out to St. Vincent in the second round. I'm looking to see just how we react with what we're putting in. We had to start slow. With most of the guys playing football, we just started practicing. We have yet to have a full team practice for a full length practice time in the high school gymnasium with hosting the Raleigh Duke tournament. So
that's tough.
Yeah, it's a little bit tough. So we're learning during games, which can be tough. So I'm really looking to just see what they pick up and then, how that works with what we have and then see what we can implement from there on. I'd say I expect us to be operating the way I want us to be by when we come back from the new year. Realistically, we have the Raleigh Duke tournament this week. We have 3 games next week, 3 games the week after that, and then the Park Hills tournament. So it's great that most of my guys are football players, so they weren't sitting on the couch, but they're in football shape, not basketball shape, and that's completely different. So I expect us to take a minute to get ready, but I hope to see us in midseason form by midseason. We'll go as deep as I've seen us go these last couple of years. We're only going to have we'll have 9 or 10 guys dressed out on varsity, but every night I expect to use 9 or 10 guys on varsity. Hopefully that's, what we lack in height, we're going to hopefully throw at people in waves of athleticism. So I expect every night for people to get their minutes in almost every night. There's going to be some mainstays who are going to be out there most of the time, but there's going to be guys who get in almost every night.
Herculaneum boys basketball coach here, Jason Jarvis. Coach, how you doing today?
Doing great.
Awesome. 10-16 on the season last season for the 23-24 or 23-24 season there. Give us, a little bit of your thoughts on last season before we get started here.
Yeah, I mean, we struggled early on last year. We lost to Bayless early on, then we played them twice later in the year, and we got them pretty good. And then we had them this year to open up the season and lost to them again. I only had 2 seniors last year in Moreland and Devin Black. And we're going to miss them a lot this year. They help Duncan handle the ball a lot when we get pressured. And right now we're trying to find someone to help him do that. But last year I was pretty happy with 10 wins. Right now, defensively, we're not doing too bad. I mean, last night we gave up quite a few, but at halftime it was 30-25. We played back-to-back nights with there only being 7 teams in the tournament. And that's going to be a struggle for us if we have to play back-to-back nights. We got to have rest. I got some kids like Duncan didn't come off the floor hardly at all against Grandview, and last night I think I took him out once and then at the end of the game. So I got a few kids that play a lot, Jackson LaPlante, and so we're trying to build up that endurance. And that'll take a little bit, but I'm more excited about the defense. Our offense, we got some work to do. I'm thinking about, here in another week, we'll be pretty good. Most of the football guys came in, we didn't have any time off anymore. They played on a Friday and we were at basketball on a Monday. So, but football shape's a little different than basketball shape. And especially if I'm asking people to play a lot of minutes like I am, you're going to have to be in good shape. And we've ran a lot early in the season. We do a lot of drills
with the basketball in our hands, but where kids don't realize they're getting a lot of conditioning in. So we try to do all our conditioning with the ball in our hand. And that's something we got to work on. We got to work on handling the pressure this year. So trying to incorporate a lot of drills where we get endurance, but we also are handling the basketball. Well, right now I have played a lot of players in the first 3 games. I'm trying to figure out who I can rely on and who I can't. I have 2 freshmen that have been in my rotation a bunch these first 3 games. Ben McLaughlin, he's started all 3 games for us. He's a freshman. He's played pretty well. He's averaging, I think, like 9 points a game so far, and he's adapted pretty well. But I got to get some bench players that are willing to come in and take and handle the pressure, and just not, lately we'll sub and then that team will go on a run. All right, and that's what we got to try to get these bench players to understand. I don't expect them to go in there and score a bunch, but let's keep the other team in check when you're in. So it's going to take a little bit. I'm a young team. At one time in the game the other night against Grandview, I had 2 freshmen, 2 sophomore, and Duncan on the floor. So we got some young guys that are really trying to learn on the fly, and you got freshmen and sophomore playing against a bunch of 18-year-olds. It's going to take a little time.
It's time to take a look at the Grandview Eagles boys basketball team, and we have Jeremy Moss on the line here. Coach Moss, how you doing?
I'm doing good, sir. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. 8-19 last season. Give us a little bit of insight on last season and your thoughts.
Well, I'll say last season was last season. It was a different team, some growing pains, and I think this season we have some new faces with us, some guys that have some more experience now. I think that we're going to be a better, more competitive team ultimately than what you saw last season. Right now, definitely the defensive side. We're playing pretty good on that end. We played the 1 seed Jefferson at the Crystal City tournament last week, and I mean, we had a chance to win it. It was 5 points most of the second half. 5-point game with 2 minutes to go, well, all the way till there was 3 seconds left, and they hit a couple free throws, beat us 48-41. But you hold a team like that to 48 points and you feel decent about yourselves, and then you look and see that you had 26 turnovers. So I would definitely say our defense was better off than our offense that game. Then, fast forward the next day, we played Herculaneum. Probably the worst offensive showing we could have had. We missed a lot of easy looks. Went 3 for 19 from 3, held them to 45 points and lost the game. So, and then we played Park Hill Central, and after giving up 22 in the first quarter, we really played good defense in that one too. Ultimately gave up 60, again scored 41. So right now our high score on the season is 41 points, which isn't going to get it done a lot of the time. Our defense has been solid to keep us around and hanging in games, but we ultimately have to finish more layups and knock down a few more open shots. So good question. I would say last year it took us almost till Christmas break. We didn't really hit our stride, or I didn't feel like we were conditioned enough until we had already played 11 games. This season I feel a lot better about it. I won't say we're in peak shape, but we are further along than we were last season. I would say, we had 3 games last week, 3 more games this week. I think we can get to that peak conditioning level here pretty soon. No, for sure. Having depth is crucial, and that's something I feel like we have more of this year. I can bring in 2 or 3 different guards off the bench. I've got a 4-post rotation right now, all juniors. Speaking of, we only have 1 senior, so the team you're seeing this year is going to be around. I think we're going to keep growing together and be a really experienced team next season. But no, our role players, our bench players, they know that they are just as important as the starting unit, that they need to come in and utilize their minutes, take advantage of every second, and just compete and try to earn more, and help the team however they can. Right now we don't even have like a definitive starting lineup though, because I've been rotating my post, changing up those starters a little bit. We're really just trying to figure out what our best rotation is at the moment, but we definitely have about 9 or 10 guys that we can play that can give us minutes. It's just a matter of finding the right rotation and what works best for us.
It's time to take a look at the Jefferson Blue Jays boys basketball team here. We've got on the line here Coach Tyler Bellmeyer from the Jefferson Blue Jays. How you doing, Coach?
Doing great, sir. How are you doing today?
Awesome. 22-6 on the season. You last year were the 7th and 8th grade coach, but you did get a chance to see the Blue Jays in action for the most part, especially later in the season. Tell us your thoughts about the season last season.
Yeah, I thought the boys had a great season last year. Had a couple great players, specifically Nate Breeze and Caleb Weiler. We were a very senior-driven team last year with 9 seniors, and that pretty much filled out almost our entire rotation. And so they had a great year, got a district championship on the way out, which was great to see for them. But now for this year, it kind of just gives us an opportunity to reboot and get a completely new start for this year, which we're excited about. So we're excited to kind of build off the accomplishments of that team last year with a new group this year. I'd say right now we're a little more excited about the offensive side just because we've got some guys who can really shoot the ball from the three-point line, and we've got a big post inside and Colton Broadwater, who's kind of been a terror on the inside at the start of this year. So I'd say right now we're more excited about the offensive side, but we try to key in a little bit on the defensive side because we know we're going to be able to score. But if we can't stop anybody, we're not going to be winning many basketball games. So we're excited about the offense, but we also know we gotta lock in on the defensive end as well in order to get some wins. So, man, a lot of our guys, we started working with them about 2 months before the season started in some open gyms, and we immediately got them going up and down right in those open gyms. So for a lot of our non-football players, I think they've been ready for a while, just in terms of their endurance and their ability to play a full 32 minutes on offense and defense. Our football guys are still getting adjusted from, basketball is a completely different game when you're talking about endurance and stamina. So they're still catching up a little bit, but we're starting to get our legs out from under us. I'd say after a few more games. We've played 4 games so far. I think after a few more games, you're going to start to see us really start to get up and down the floor and be able to keep up for a full 32 minutes. So the bench is super important, though, right? We have to be able to know we can count on that production, or our philosophy kind of goes in the tank, right? But we believe in what we have in terms of our ability to play up tempo and then bring those guys off the bench to give us that production.
Well, that is our show for week 1 of Fast Break. And
Season 3.
Yeah, Season 3.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Season 3. Show 1 in the books here. Before we get out of here, don't forget to do us a favor. Like and share this if you're on all the socials. If you haven't checked out any of our games, we have all of our games now 2 places right now. Livestream STL TV is our website. You can go on your phone. You can go on your computer, whatever you want on there. Livestream.stl.tv. That's where you can check out all of our live games and some of our previous games as well. And if you would love to watch it on TV, you can download on Roku. If you got a Roku, download the Livestream STL app for Roku, and we would appreciate that. And just enjoy some amazing.
Can they watch
basketball.
seasons 1 and 2 on?
Seasons 1 and 2 is also on there.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you want to go back, archives, just go right up into the search bar and type in, a game or a show, and it'll come right up. So how about that?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Obviously, want to give a big thanks to Jakayla, Kirk, and all the coaches who helped contribute to this show.
Yep. Absolutely. We will see you next week here on Fast Break. Have a great week. Thanks for watching today's broadcast. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without the express written consent of Livestream STL is strictly prohibited.